Welcome back to Arrakis Central. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notifications if you like this content. So the first 3 episodes of Dune Awakening have released with mixed reviews. Personally, I'm liking the show so far. It's very close to the Brian Herbert books, but some folks may be confused on some of these characters. So I wanted to take the next few minutes to do a quick dive into the backstories of some of the main characters of the show from the Brian Herbert books. The first character and the main character of the show, if people don't know, is the character Valia Harkonnen. Most of the backstory is basic in the show on Valia Harkonnen, even though it is pretty much correct. She was born on the planet Lenka Vale, yes, and she does have a sister Tula and a brother Griffin, which is talked about in episode 3. Similarly to the books, she does vow vengeance upon House Atreides due to the fact that Varian Atreides was the one responsible for exiling their ancestor Abelard Harkonnen to the planet Lenka Vale after he tried to betray the final fleet battle on the Battle of Corrin. That is not specifically stated in this show, but what happened was that Abelard wanted to save the human slaves who were put around the planet of Corrin by the AI. Varian Atreides decides to fire through any of those distractions or human shields, as it's the final straw against the machine AI. Varian deciding that the need to take out the AI finally at all costs or any means necessary superseded the human shields. Abelard Harkonnen then goes onto the fire control deck of the main battleship, mothership of the fleet, the human fleet, sabotages the fire-controlled sinking computers, gets caught, and then is exiled after the battle to Lenka Vale as a coward by Varian Atreides. So that is a little bit more specifics on the reason why Abelard Harkonnen was exiled and the motivations of Valia Harkonnen. The next part of Valia's journey is with her brother Griffin. In the beginning of episode 3 of Dune Prophecy, we see that he's going to go off to the Landsrad to try to seek out Varian Atreides. This is pretty similar to the books, although there is many differences, as they were actually trying to seek to kill him and enact revenge, but he does actually end up finding Varian Atreides on Dune, on Arrakis. He ends up actually befriending the Varian Atreides after learning that Varian is not as evil as the Harkonnens have been led to believe, but what happens is that he will be killed by 2 assassins, which are long-lost relatives that were in stasis of Varian Atreides. So the Harkonnens will end up just blaming his death on Varian anyways. Those 2 assassins, Varian's ancestors, technically brother and sister, will subsequently be tricked by Varian and being swallowed up by a sandworm on Arrakis and killed, as they were basically had to be gotten rid of because they were too dangerous. Varian then packs Griffin's body up with a note saying how sorry he was and how much he respected Griffin, but Valia and the Harkonnen family back on Lenka Vale, once they receive the body, will see this as disrespectful and basically as Varian laughing at them. So basically, no matter what he does during those books to try to make things right for the Harkonnen family, they don't ever believe any of it, and it just fuels the flames of hatred against him. The next main character of Dune Prophecy is Valia Harkonnen's sister Tula. Tula plays a major part in the 2 second books in that trilogy after Sisterhood, Mentats of Dune, and Navigators of Dune. Many of the scenes and the flashbacks of the show come from those books, not just Sisterhood of Dune. Some of the timelines in the book and the show are a little bit different due to the nature of it being a television series, but Tula would actually follow Valia to the Sisterhood after the death of Griffin Harkonnen, and when Valia actually returned from the Sisterhood to see her family. In episode 3, we see a scene where Valia takes the poison, the Rossack poison, on Lenka Vale, which is true, that happens in the books, but she had already been in the Sisterhood already on the planet Rossack, not on Wallach 9. So there was some slight differences in the story in the show. But the overall end state of the story is true, is that Tula will follow her to the Sisterhood, and Tula will be sent on a secret mission to try to wipe out as many Atreides as she can after she infiltrates them on Caladan. So much like shown in episode 3, Tula does infiltrate the Atreides family and tries to marry Ore Atreides, which does happen in the book. But she does not assassinate him during a hunting trip. She actually assassinates him on their wedding night. And also, Vorian Atreides has already come back and is there at the wedding. And there during that night, after she kills Ori, she tries to slit the throat of Vorian Atreides, but he's able to fight her off. One key point to understand these characters in the book versus the show is at this point, Valia and Tula have already been in the Sisterhood for quite some time. And they have both mastered both deception skills and fighting skills, as Valia is one of the more skilled, or is the most skilled fighter in the Sisterhood, and Tula has been trained by her, so she's basically the second best fighter in the Sisterhood at this point. So they are already well capable of enacting these murders and other attacks. This is a kind of change from the show, as they kind of have Tula going on this mission and then later joining Valia at the Sisterhood, which is not such a big deal, but it is a bit of information that is pretty differently changed from the book. After the events of the assassination, which we don't see on screen, is that Tula will escape off Caladan, get to a different planet and hide in isolation. She realizes she actually was in love with Ori Atreides, didn't want to kill him, but she basically had to do it because of Valia. And then Vorian Atreides and the brother Wilhelm of Ori will track her down to that planet, try to attack her or face her, but she didn't know that she was being watched by Sisterhood bodyguards sent by Valia. They whisk her off the planet, and eventually she gets back to safe and sound to Wallach 9. So that is a subplot that we won't necessarily see in the show. I don't know. It could be a spoiler. But if Vorian Atreides does possibly show up in this show, because he is still alive, to how the best we know, we may actually see some sort of re-engagement with those three. So a brief mention in this video before I get to the final mystery character is that of Emperor Jaico. I'll only spent a little bit of time on him, as there's not that much backstory on him, as he was a child during the events of Mentats and Navigators of Dune. But Emperor Jaico comes into power at around 23, 24 years old, once his father Roderick, who was the sitting emperor, is supposedly assassinated. It doesn't specifically say in the books, but it assumes that he was assassinated. Before Roderick, during the main part of the books of Sisterhood, Mentats, and Navigators of Dune, in those books, the emperor at the time is Emperor Salvador, which is the brother of Roderick and the uncle of Emperor Jaico, who we see in this show. Emperor Salvador is basically murdered by Joseph Venport. He is the privatized owner at that time of the space folding technology, making space navigators, alongside his grandmother, which is Norma Senva. Those two basically hold a monopoly on how to make Spacing Guild navigators at the time, even though they're not the Guild navigators specifically yet. He will murder Emperor Salvador because he thinks he's moving in on his businesses on Arrakis, because he holds kind of the spice mining monopoly at that time. So that's a subplot in the book that really hasn't been mentioned in this show. I don't know if they even will spend much time on that, but that just sets up some of the backstory for Emperor Jaico and how he was basically set up in this chain of events from those books as he was a child during that time. So the final character of this video, but not all of the characters of the show, is the mystery character of Desmond Hart. This is the first appearance of Desmond Hart, and he is a new character for this show. Although we do not know the exact end state or end goal of Desmond Hart, we do know that in the show he claims to have survived being attacked and eaten by a worm, comes back, and as we know, during the first 3 episodes, he has shown he has some sort of telekinesis, pyrokinesis powers, which he's now enabling him to burn human victims from the inside. So far in the show, his motivations seem to be loyalty to the Imperium and the Emperor and the Emperor's family, and to want to take out the Sisterhood, which he has stated directly to Valia in the show. But the nature and history of how he actually gained these powers and what's granting him these powers, we do not know yet. It is a mystery so far in this show. One theory I have is that he possibly was exposed to some of the water of life, which at this time, the Sisterhood is not discovered yet as a poison for awakening genetic memories. Maybe he was exposed to some of that in the worm, granted him some power. Maybe that is how they'll discover that men are able to have more power than women. They're exposed to these poisons. That is just a theory. I have no information on that at all. That's just one of my theories. Of course, there's other fan theories out there that he's a Thalaxu Gola / clone, and he might have some sort of nanotechnology implanted in him, or possibly some sort of thinking machine technology enabling him to use those powers. And then one third and final theory, not a final theory, but another theory I have thought about and heard, is that he may possibly be Vorian Atreides, as Vorian Atreides at the end of Navigators of Dune did bake his own death and say he was going to go off and get facial surgery to change his face to stop the Harkonnens from hunting him down. So there is a possibility maybe he is Vorian Atreides, as he does not age like a normal human due to his life extension. So that is basically a topic for a different video. If he does show up in this show, we're going to do a video on Vorian Atreides. If not, we'll probably just leave that for a later time. But that is a third and final sort of main theory that I'm running with right now. If you like this content, please remember to like and subscribe. If you enjoy this content, hit the bell notifications. I'm really trying to improve this channel and work on it. And till next time, next episode, next week, I will see you guys then.